Greetings, salutations, welcome to another Power BI DAX tutorial by me, James, your BA sensei. What a week it's been. Credit Suisse and Silicon Valley Bank going under. So my tutorial will be all about their stock prices and the moving averages around there and what signals you could have seen using Power BI charts, moving averages and the stock price to identify when to buy or sell, when it was in danger or not. So let's quickly look at Credit Suisse. Credit Suisse, let's say the last... since 2016, I got a moving average over here, the red line, and we got the daily stock price as a 500-day moving average. And the crossover chart we're going to be doing today will basically show you when the stock price was below or above that moving average. So you can see the last couple of days, since 2021 actually, it's been far below the 500-day moving average. Definite sell sign, definite sell sign. If we look at Silicon Valley Bank, let's look at the last couple of days, or let's look at since 2019. You can see since 2019 the moving average over there, the red line, the daily stock price, you can see clearly since the 4th of April 2022 sell signal was way below the moving average. Isn't that interesting? And then for this period was actually above the moving average. So how do we create these crossover charts in Power BI? Well, I'm going to show you. Before we continue, let's quickly look at the data model. Very simple. I have actually just one table over here. We got two stocks in there. We got Silicon Valley Bank and we got Credit Suisse in there. Then we got the date, the company name, the stock code. And the only field we're really going to use is the closing price at the end of each day. So for that, I actually created a little measure called the closing stock price, which calculates the sum of the closing stock price every day. So those are the current measures we have. And then if we look at the moving averages, once again, check my other video. Here we basically calculate a dynamic moving average. So currently I use, you can see a 500-day moving average. If I make it a little bit less, you can see it moves closer to the actual line. If it's 0, it actually mimics the daily stock price, but we're going to do it on the 500 days. Watch the other video for more details on how to get there. Okay, we always need to start at step 1. So step 1 would be, I'm just going to quickly copy this charts over here. Yes, slap it over there right next to it. What I want to do is I want to get the absolute minimum. Let's quickly just zoom in a little bit here. So I want to get the minimum of both these data sets. So the minimum of both the closing stock price and the moving average. So what I'm going to do is create a new DAX measure. Yes, right. Let's quickly look at the formula. Min X. I want to combine two data sets. I want to combine the rows. I'm going to use two measures. Remember, those two lines are two measures. So I'm just going to give this thing the description of value. I want to take the measure for closing stock price and I want to union it with the rows. I want to also just call the default values their value. And I want to merge it with my moving average. So and I can close it up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just return the actual value. So what this should do is it should return the absolute minimum. I'm going to call this the minimum moving average. Let's remove all of these lines. I'm going to drag the minimum moving average in here. So you can see, let's quickly just zoom out. So you can see all these smooth little bits is basically where the moving average is below, is the minimum of the two. And all these jagged little bits is where the stock price is actually above the minimum average. So you actually can nicely see where it's below and above. But this is the minimum of the two measures together. I'm just going to color this yellow for us. I'm going to minimize this a little bit over here. I'm going to make a copy of this chart. Just put it over here. Alright, so I made a copy of that. I'm going to change this, very important, you need to change this to a stacked area chart. Alright, so this is now the area, this is the base area below the minimum. Okay, remember a stack chart stacks values on top of each other. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly change this color to gray. Now we got a gray area. So now what we basically have, we have the bottom part, which is the area below the minimum. Now I want to actually create a line on top of this to actually accentuate the line of the minimum. So what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to say add a new measure. I'm just going to call this measure the lower line. Remember, that's how a stack chart works. I say 0, right? I'm going to put this lower line just below there. And you can see this actually now created that blue line over there. All right, that created the blue line. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to quickly change the color of the gray. I'm going to change the area underneath there to completely white so we don't really see that. So now if you look at the actual chart, we actually have the minimum moving average. We got the lower line, which is the line you see there, and the minimum moving average has an area of white below. I'm actually going to change the lower line red. So now we have a red line. What we now need to do is we now need to add these two measures. We need to add the actual closing price where it's above, and we need to add the moving average where it's above as well. So how do we do that? I'm going to quickly go to stock quotes. I'm going to say create a new measure. What's the moving average less the minimum moving average? So that's going to give me the difference of where the moving average is above the minimum moving average. And we're going to call this the moving average less min moving average. All right, so now we have that. And I'm going to now take that new measure and drag it down to the bottom. Okay, so now we have a very clear picture of where the actual stock price is below the moving average, just given that moving average less the minimum. Now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to check where this closing price is above the minimum moving average. Say new. You're going to say closing stock price less the minimum moving average. And we're going to call this the cool. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to drag that in below that. And I'm going to color that green. All right, so there you actually have it. Check that out. Let's quickly zoom in. And now you can see at every given point, so where the stock price is below the minimum moving average, you can see that it's saying there, the minimum moving average is 26, and the difference of the moving average less the minimum average is 12.42. And on this side, you have the similar thing where the stock price is above the minimum moving average. You can see it's 6.27. But here's your analysis. This is how you can see how that differs over time. So you can see there's your crossover chart for the last 5 years from 2017 onwards, and let's make the moving average a little bit smaller. You can see it moves a little bit, but that's pretty cool. That's how you can apply this. Let's look at Silicon Valley Bank. Same thing with Silicon Valley Bank. Let's increase the moving average there. Pretty cool, handy analysis that you can have. If we look at the last couple of years, you can see there's definitely some sell signals there. Anyway, I hope this really helped you. This really helps me. I use this for my stock analysis all the time. BA Sensei out.